Hello and welcome to our special conversation with Professor Joe Cherian, CEO, President, Dean, and Distinguished Professor of the Asia School of Business in Malaysia. Now, Professor Cherian is here in Vietnam at the time when the country is rapidly transforming its workforce and education system. And today we'll explore his vision for ASB in Vietnam, the opportunities for postgraduate and continuous education, also how flexible and innovative learning can help equip Vietnamese students, professionals, and leaders for the future of work. Now, Professor Cherian, thank you for joining us, and it is an honor for us to have you here, and welcome to Vietnam.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So first of all, could you just start by sharing your main purpose for the visit here in Vietnam this time?
Okay, I'm part of the MIT Southeast Asia Advisory Council, and we're meeting in Ho Chi Minh City. It's a very important city in part of Southeast Asia.
So and we are important meeting as well.
Very important meeting, and I'm part of the Advisory Council. That's why I'm here.
Yeah. So in this time, will you be meeting some key partners, universities, and some organizations that you plan to meet? Can you share with us?
Sure. Well, the main reason is to have this advisory council meeting to plan for activities that involve MIT and the advisory council in different parts of Southeast Asia, including Vietnam.
Yes.
But we are going to Fulbright University.
Yeah.
A couple of high schools, I think. We're going to visit to get the experiential aspect of being here in the city. It's a very vibrant city, so we have to go and immerse ourselves in some of these places.
Right. But your hope that to take away from your visit this time from Vietnam?
Okay, partly it's also I've got a mission. I'm the Dean and President of ASB, Asia School of Business, and we're called Asia School of Business for a reason. We want to be Pan-Asia specific. Basically, we'd like to encourage more Southeast Asian countries, North Asian countries, Japan to be part of our school through our education program. What is unique about us is basically we have MIT DNA, very famous, top school in the world, MIT. But at the same time, we are very focused on Asian-centric studies. All our case studies, our research centers are very Asian and emerging markets focused. We also have a central banking program, which is very unique. So my mission partly is to propagate our mission in terms of education for Asia by Asians with very high quality.
Yeah, but why choose Vietnam this time?
Okay, let me take it with the 4 countries that I targeted in the last few months since I became CEO. Yeah. I just became CEO in May. I'm Malaysian. It's the first time it's a Malaysian running the school. Usually it's an MIT person from America. Right. So it's the first time, but I'm also an MIT product. There are 4 countries, China, Japan, Indonesia, and Vietnam, that I've targeted to visit. Yeah. I've already been to China and Japan. I've been to Japan many times, basically to talk about getting students, research centers, and so on. I've not been to Indonesia yet for this purpose. I've been to Indonesia, but not for the ASB purpose. I plan to go to Indonesia. And when Vietnam was part of the equation in terms of meeting, I said, I'm going to be there because I want to talk about our school. We not only have students coming from different parts of the world, we also do projects in these countries. For example, Phu Hong Securities, and Phu Hong has hosted many of our students. Mr. Albert Ting, I believe he's the chairman and CEO of the company, was very kind to host us, and the students said this was one of their best experiences because Vietnam is a vibrant Asian city, as Ho Chi Minh especially, and basically they feel they can learn a lot from a country and city that's growing up on the trajectory. So that's part of the reason. It's both ways. It's bilateral. Okay. While we are trying to promote our university to the school, to the people of Vietnam, we also want to see how we can engage with Vietnam. We're all part of Southeast Asia. So Vietnam is a very important part of Southeast Asia.
Right, yeah. So I've saw some of your videos, some of your clips sharing in China. Very exciting. That gives us a good picture of your goal during this meeting, this visit. So let's now step back and have a look at the bigger story behind ASB and its mission, especially in Vietnam. So for those who may not know, so could you just introduce about the Asia School of Business and what makes it unique in Asia's education landscape?
Okay, so Asia School of Business is a collaboration between MIT, the Sloan School of Management, and the Central Bank of Malaysia. It's probably the most unique collaboration in the world, involving a central bank and the world's top university. Now, that said, our focus is business education to make sure we're on the cutting edge so that whatever we teach is relevant, experiential, and has impact in the real world. It's not just research or theory, it's about impact. And what our impact we hope to do, and it's part of our mission, is Southeast Asia, emerging markets. So basically, we're not trying to be a Western university in Southeast Asia. We are Asian university for Asians and anyone else interested in Asia.
Right.
And what's unique about our school is not just our standard MBA and executive MBA programs and all the other executive education. We also have a central banking program, which is the most unique in the world, probably the most prestigious. Everyone knows about our central banking program, where you can get a master's. So we try to fill the gap in terms of where Asia's needs are, ensure it's of highest quality, and the niche, central banking, as well as business education. So that's how we try to differentiate ourselves. And underlying all that is quality. You have to make sure it's of the highest rigor and scientifically based teaching.
Right.
That's what we emphasize.
But talking a little bit more about the methodology that ASB's approach to postgraduates, graduates, and executive education. So how can it differ from more traditional universities?
Okay, so the delivery, I'll talk about the traditional delivery, which is how most schools deliver business education. That's usually through the MBA program or the executive MBA program or executive education. So that traditional program, again, as I emphasized earlier, is one that has immediate relevance to industry. So you want the research to be of high quality. That means it's academically rigorous, just like of MIT standards. But you need to make sure it helps the environment, climate science, AI, the future of work. You want to make sure that the learnings immediately impact the world that they operate in, the business education learners who come through our school, whether it's executives or students. Now, that said, we have to also make sure that they are equipped with the latest tools and knowledge and know what the problems are with industry. So we have very close alignment with the industry. As I mentioned, our students have done multiple projects here in Vietnam with Phu Hong Securities. We've done it in Thailand, in Indonesia, in Singapore, in Malaysia. Now they're going to India. So where they solve problems from industry using their learnings with real world action learning that we call it. So I think that's what's unique, that basically everything they learn is not just rigorous, but immediately applicable. Because a lot of times you find that people go to school and then when they come back to their company or whatever, they end up having to relearn everything. They have to be sent through a rotation management training program. We are trying to avoid that. Go straight into the deep end and start contributing to your company, to your government, to your community, to society, and especially in the areas that are very important. How is AI affecting the future of work? How is AI affecting everyone? You know, does it mean job loss, or can we be a part of the solution using AI as a useful tool to make this world a better place? How is climate science affecting your environment? Floods, carbon sequestration, emissions. We also teach you those things. Sustainability is a big part of our training program. So that's how we try to make it interesting and relevant, very applied.
But then talking a little bit more about the soft skills, like soft side of the quality. So what qualities do you hope to instill in ASB postgraduates that set them apart in today's fast-changing job environment?
Great question. So apart from the action learning, which is where they immerse themselves in the practical aspects of work, there's also two other things that we developed unique to ASB.
Yeah.
One is called the Integrated Management Lab. It's part of every curriculum that we teach. Integrated Management Lab, IML for short, is where you're an engineering company and you're an engineer. How do you put yourself in the finance functions role within the company, or in the IT, or the chief operating officer, or the marketing, and you're an engineering company. So engineers rule that company, but you need to be able to put yourself in another person's lens, and vice versa. So we have a 1 week, I teach the program, marketing, AI professor, myself in finance, I talk about sustainable finance. We train them how to put into each other's lens to increase cross-functional collaboration. I used to work on Wall Street. I used to be in the banking industry in New York.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Collaboration is so important. Teamwork is so important. It's no longer a star system. One person shines. You need to be diversified.
Yeah.
You need the whole team to be involved. The engineers, the finance people, the marketing people, the IT people, so as to remain competitive on the cutting edge. So IML is one unique feature. You know your program is good when the industry says, hey, you're teaching that in your curriculum, can you bring it to us? We've got companies who are global companies asking us, can we train their executives to have the IML mindset? So that's the first one. The other unique differentiator is growth mindset. We call it Mindset Lab. It basically means that if you have any gaps or any the lack of certain skills, how do we work with you individually, not as a team, individually? There's some teamwork, but individually to upskill you in that area. Take, for example, an engineer. I'm an engineer by training from MIT. We're not very good at communicating some of our ideas. I mean, I've gotten better over the years, but initially it was very difficult for me to communicate my ideas. Here, I would get specialized coaching and training, how to communicate and win over clients with my ideas by speaking the way they would understand, as opposed to how an engineer understands. That's called the Mindset Lab, to help upskill you in terms of interviews, in terms of presentations, in terms of communications, and anything else that you feel you have a bit of a gap or weakness. So we have these two differentiators, and I think our students love that because they feel more equipped to go to the real world with those skills part of their embedded learnings.
Right. It's amazing how you compact all that into a course.
In 1 year. We do it all in 1 year.
And
yes.
it's full-time, right?
It's full-time. For the MBA, it's full-time. For the executive MBA, it is a 16-month to 18-month program. You do it sort of residence weeks. You fly in.
Right.
Our students fly in and they stay together for a week or 2 weeks. But the thing is, they can also watch classes on Zoom, hybrid, which is the future, as you know.
Right, yeah, it's happening right now
Yes.
as well. And I've heard how ASB stands out as an institution. And now let's talk about why Vietnam has become such an important focus for ASB among 4 Asian countries, like you said before. So from a regional perspective, why does Vietnam matter to ASB's in long-term mission?
Well, Vietnam is a very important nation as part of Southeast Asia.
Right.
One of the fastest growing, very young population, highly trained. I remember engineers, many engineers from Vietnam go around the world.
Yeah.
I had a lot of classmates in MIT from 1980s from Vietnam.
1980s.
One of the most famous MIT graduates is from Vietnam.
Okay.
He was my classmate and my dorm mate.
Right.
So you look up his name, he's all over the news. He was the most famous MIT graduate. Vietnam has a lot of talent.
My generation, actually.
Oh, okay. So it's a very sad story because he came on a boat as a refugee.
Okay, boat people.
And, yes, and he was on an island in Malaysia. He told me his life story. And he graduated with about 7 or 8 degrees from MIT in record time. He's a genius. Right. He's a genius. So you see, this is the thing about opportunity. What if something happened to him on the boat? The world would have lost a very talented, smart, kind person. And fortunately, through the kindness of people and nations, he ended up going to MIT and adding value to society. As I said, he was the most incredible, smartest guy I've ever met.
Yeah.
And he came from Vietnam. So you all have a lot of talent. You all have a lot of young professionals in science, technology, and it's a fast-growing nation. I heard now there are some new initiatives to increase the wealth and health of the country with the leadership and so on. They were talking about it at dinner last night. This is all very exciting.
Yeah.
That's what Southeast Asia needs, and I think Vietnam can be part of that leader in leading Southeast Asia to greatness. We have to do it together.
Sure. But, you know, speaking as a whole, what potential do you see that Vietnam's young and potential and dynamic workforce that can, you know, contribute into you know, a bigger landscape like Asia or even the world?
So two ways. One is, let's say a student comes to study at ASB or MIT, wherever they go, there's either they get assimilated into the culture and they're still Vietnamese. Like as I told you, my classmate who went to greatness, he stayed on in America. That's fine, but he's still Vietnamese at heart. So he still has the Vietnamese spirit, they contribute back to the country. I'm Malaysian. I went to MIT, I lived in America since 1982. I came back in 2022 to Malaysia. Down the road, after so many years, I'm back in Malaysia, my home country, I'm contributing. I think that's one way we can do it. Either we contribute overseas, that's called talent mobility, without forgetting our nation, where we came from. The second is go back to help the country. Some do it in different stages of life. So Vietnamese studying in Malaysia could work in Singapore for like 10 years, and maybe after that training and experience, they could come back to Vietnam. So I look at it as a talent mobility, as a global initiative, that people eventually never forget their homeland. If you're too close-minded, say, oh, I don't want to lose my talent, they should stay in Vietnam, they should stay in Malaysia. It's not good.
Yeah,
you should
let them, flat world. Yeah.
Let them go out, let them explore, let them come back and contribute as better people. So my view is there's a two-way traffic, that people can actually go abroad and stay abroad, or they could come back and contribute to the nation. In either scenario, the country benefits. So that's my view of why I view Vietnam as very important to the global equation.
Yeah, mobility and flexibility is part of the topics that you've often talked about together with lifelong learning. And then you have just shared with us some of the cases that we can learn from Malaysia. But more specifically, what lessons that from Malaysia's model, because you're from Malaysia and you talk about a lot about Malaysia, and what is the model that we could learn from Malaysia?
Well, I think we can learn from each other.
Right.
I think Malaysia and Vietnam are in the same stages, and Malaysia may be a bit more modern because of earlier development.
Yeah.
But Vietnam and Malaysia are in the same stages. I view ourselves as developing economies. But one thing I feel that I want to touch on, I don't know if I'm allowed to, is about education.
Yeah.
Education, the traditional way where we go to a university and spend 4 years, 6 years, whatever, to study in a brick and mortar, fancy university, it's coming to a sort of, the value is diminishing. People want flexibility. You mentioned flexibility and mobility.
Yes.
They want flexibility to be mobile, so that I don't have to be stuck in a particular place. So open learning or digital education, I think, is the future. So one thing we've done in Malaysia, very much driven by the government as well as by MIT and ASB, we designed something and made it even better. That now even MIT is saying, can we come and visit and see how you do it? But the ideas came from abroad about flexible education. People are looking for flexibility in education because flexibility has value.
Yeah.
So I don't need to be in a particular place. I can do it from anywhere. I can do it at my own time. And that's what we do. But the quality must remain. We're not talking about just any online education system.
Yeah.
The quality is maintained, the rigor is maintained, but now you have the flexibility to learn from abroad. I think we've perfected that model in Malaysia, and with the help of the government, because the government encourages this whole online learning thing, but with quality. And I would say that we are probably the most on the business education side, we're one of the most well-regarded in Malaysia from that context. In fact, many countries, even China, Singapore, all are saying, you guys are doing something cool here.
Right.
So I think that's where one thing Vietnam and Malaysia can learn from each other on the education part, because education is critical.
Right. And of course, you mentioned that digital platforms, online learning is very trending now, and it can accommodate a lot of our needs. But I want to delve more into a challenge of it, because you said that quality will be maintained.
Yeah.
But how could you do that? Because, a class that conducted through Zoom learning, it could be, a bit distance, because,
yes.
Physical contacts and interaction in person, it would be much better, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely correct. So we don't just do it completely on Zoom. What we do is, let's say, for example, do you want to do an MBA? Okay. You can do first half of the MBA via the Zoom context. So if you're in Vietnam, China, Japan, you don't have to travel out. Now, some people want to travel out. They can actually come and stay in KL. That's option is there. Okay. It's all about flexibility.
Yeah.
Then in the second half of the program, so the first 6 months you spend doing it remotely. The second half, what we call lateral entry, you come over to KL and join the rest, and you do all the learnings together. So it's a networking effect. You also go to MIT. So our program, our students also go to MIT from between 3 weeks to 6 weeks. And MIT professors come to KL, Kuala Lumpur. So you'll get that benefit in the second half of the program. So now you've cut a 12-month program, which is already short, into a 6-month in-person program, 6 months online. Yeah. So then on the online side, the video, the people online and the people, it's live, in the classroom, have the same experience. They have to go through the same assessments, the same quizzes, the same learnings and so on. Yeah. So there's no differentiating element there. So I just want you to know that it's a choice whether you want to do it hybrid or you want to do it in person. You have that flexibility.
Right, it's very accommodating. And Professor Cherian, so beyond education and business, I believe that you've spent much of your career observing, global trends and leadership across Asia. So we would like to take a moment to hear your personal perspective about the geopolitical landscape that's happening right now. So Asia today is at the heart of major global shifts, right, between China and U.S. relationship, and two new regional trades and new security alliances, and also political unrest that happening in many Asia countries right now. So from your perspective, how do you see the balance of power in Asia evolving?
Okay, so first of all, it's not just US and China, it's US and the rest of the world.
Everyone,
including Europe, has problems.
Right, since Donald Trump has taken office.
Well, I won't go that far, but the fact is, we need to get along. The world is a better place when there's global trade, when there's economies cooperating, and there's no wars, and everyone's getting along in peace. In fact, the highest growth period in the world had seen a long time was when China and US had very good relations. The whole world did well. So you need to come to that terms. We have to make sure that these geopolitical tensions come to a conclusion, and everyone sort of goes back to the old normal, which is to work together, trade together, educate together, and so on. Now, coming back to the Asian context, Southeast Asia, whether right or wrong, has ended up being a very important neutral platform. Yeah. Europe, China, Japan, America, everyone wants to do business with Southeast Asia as a result. So we're in a good place. Yeah. We need to work together. Southeast Asia needs to work together, collaborate together as a bloc to make sure that all these countries, we're neutral. We don't take sides. We will work with all sides for the better good of society, the economy, and the global situation. So once you take sides, you become part of the problem. So that's what we need to do, in my view. Second thing is the divide. Why we're having unrest is the divide between the rich and poor is getting wider and wider. We see in many parts of Southeast Asia as well. It's true in Singapore, Malaysia, even the more developed economies. It's true in Japan, in China. So people get unhappy when their standard of living drops and they see the other people living so comfortably. They get unhappy, so there's unrest. So it's the role of government and society and the academy and industry to give back, to ensure that everyone has equal opportunity and can reduce the gap. I'm not saying they shouldn't be rich, but you should bring the lower income up.
Yeah.
They need support, they need help. And so that's where the government plays a role. And now CSR, companies, universities, they should also play their role in sort of uplifting. Very, very important. Don't neglect the underprivileged. You talk about meritocracy. Oh, don't worry. If you're good, you'll make it successful. There's only one or two successful stories, lucky stories, like I told you about the Vietnamese, my classmate.
Yeah.
His is a lucky story because he had gone the other way.
Yeah.
There are hundreds of thousands of people who are in the same position. We need to give them equal opportunity. That's our role. So if not, it's bad for society. If you don't believe in that model, just do it because you don't want unrest. Go on that principle. So that is my take on that geopolitics and the unrest that's going on in the world.
Right. But specifically, in fact, that we all are facing from something so-called national protectionism from the U.S. and especially under Mr. Donald Trump, and we're talking about tariffs, right? And
yeah.
I'm not sure whether it's an unlucky or lucky that all of the countries in the world are now doing trades with the U.S. So
yes.
we have to. That is something that we have to solve. Yeah. So what is your take on that?
Okay. So as I said, the ideal world is where we all get along. There's no tension. Mm-hmm. Everyone gets along, and no unfair advantage. That means if there are countries that are very protectionist, as America claims, or America is supporting some country and they do bad things, we have to fix that too. So America has got some good points. I'm not taking their side. I'm Malaysian, but you have to also listen to them because they've been giving a lot of aid to the world, and then the same countries are fighting them and so on. It doesn't make sense, right? So in a way, there are some points which are valid from the America side. But for the rest of the world, let's assume we are not in that space, that we are trading fairly, we are doing the right thing, and we're just trying to uplift everyone's well-being and so on. Unfortunately, in this current situation, the right way to solve our national problems is to work in trade blocs, unfortunately. So ASEAN has to come together and work together. European Union needs to work together, and then you work across that. So EU and ASEAN can do the trades while we figure out what our long-term trajectory is. So I think we should not be sitting back. I was at an EU forum. I spoke at an EU forum. 16 EU ambassadors in the room. And all they talked about was America, America. I said, guys, can we just push that aside? You're not going to get anywhere by talking about America because they're not going to change until they see some improvements in the trade deficits and stuff like that. How about talking about ASEAN? We have all these ASEAN people in the auditorium. We have all these ambassadors on you. How about talking about how we can do more things together and then let the other more difficult things resolve over time? So I think what we should focus on, unfortunately, is to work in blocks, to make sure the rest of the world can get along and work. Japan, ASEAN, China, ASEAN. So that's what I think we should focus on. South Asia, India, that's a fast-growing country right now. How do we all work together and worry less about America? Let the politicians work it out. We should do more with each other, especially ASEAN.
But looking more into the within ASEAN bloc, things that seem not to be happening quite good in a way. Recently, we see that what's happening between Thailand and Cambodia and the political unrest in Myanmar and things like that. So, of course, I understand that we have to support globalization and we have to work in harmony together rather than divisive. But there's still some risks. And what are the biggest geopolitical risks that you see that ASEAN leaders might face, and they have to, try their best to resolve?
Well, Trin, you brought up Myanmar and the Thailand-Cambodia crisis. Actually, I didn't even know there was a problem between Thailand and Cambodia until the
recently.
War is bad. Let's face it. War is bad. It detracts from economic growth. It kills people. So ASEAN should, first of all, not fight. We should try to get along and bring peace. So the other bigger neighbors should come in and bring and promote peace. They can be the neutral party to say, hey guys, let's come to the negotiating table. Behind the scenes, no fanfare. You don't need to declare it in the press like the way the US White House does. Just make it behind the scenes. Our Asians don't like publicity. When you have a problem, work behind the scenes, solve those problems. Myanmar also, there's no point of just throwing brickbats at them. You need to find out how to solve that problem. You see, when people are privileged, it's very hard to give up the privilege. If, say, it's the military that controls the economy, they don't want to give up that privilege. So you have to figure out a way how everyone can be better off without making anyone worse off. That whole idea is the nation should do better. Myanmar used to be one of the richest countries in Asia. Yeah. You know that, right? It was one of the richest, and we all looked at Myanmar as a leader. And it's now in a pretty bad state. So for the good of the nation, they need to come to some resolution, and I think ASEAN can help. You cannot have all these Western forces telling them do this, do that. You have to understand how it works. I'm not trying to take the side of Myanmar. I'm just trying to take the side of ASEAN to see how we can resolve this internally without much fanfare or publicity. So that is the way I think it should be resolved. Same with Thailand and Cambodia. I think they are now at the negotiating table, and we need to encourage more of that type of activity. So
right. Okay. I've been told that our time is up, but I still want to just ask you one final question. Yes. That if you could offer one piece of advice to young professionals in Asia, and especially in Vietnam, when they are entering a world shaped by uncertainty and competition, but of course with a lot of opportunity, what would it be?
Maybe I'll combine it. Get educated, very important. Take your education seriously, but at the same time, make sure the education is practical. Ensure that it has all the latest thinking. On AI, you need to have artificial intelligence knowledge. Okay. Care for the environment. You don't want to live in a world where the environment is degrading. So do take care of the environment. As you build up a place, make sure the environment is also taken care of. And I think that's what young people should care about. This is their future, their world, and their children's. So we are all going to move on. I'm already in my 60s, but I want to make sure I can do everything that I can to help them become successful. And I think that should be the mantra of the young Vietnamese people.
Right. And one of the best ways to do that is enroll in ASB's programs.
Of course, if you come, we'll more than welcome you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Professor Cherian, thank you very much for sharing your valuable insight with us. And I wish you the best. And,
thank you very much.
Yeah, good health.